To our conversation today, we have joining us in the studio the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani. It's good to have you in our studio this morning.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure. Well, let's start this way. Internet access remains a very big issue, and especially in the rural communities as we have it. What concrete step is the ministry taking to bridge the digital divide and ensure that rural communities can get access to broadband?
Thank you so much. I think I'd like to start first by speaking more broadly about Nigeria as a country. You know, we're a nation that has been described as a country of potentials for many, many times. And the biggest challenge is how do we move from potential to performance? I think that's the uniqueness of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, that we can't continue to just talk about the potentials in the country, that we must do the hard work of moving us to a point where we start to change the narrative bit by bit and we move away from promise to progress. But there's absolutely no way you can do that if you're not deepening investment in infrastructure, which is what this president is all about, not just within the digital economy, but across board. If you're not investing in your people, it becomes really difficult. If you're also not creating an enabling environment to allow investors to actually continue to invest in the country. And if you look at the nation where we are today, this has been the sole focus of this administration. And that's the same thing we've taken into the digital economy. Understanding that the goal of the president to build a $1 trillion economy can only be achieved if the digital economy actually supports every sector, whether it's in the banking sector, in the education space, or agriculture space. And that's where what you are talking about is important, because when we talk about rural connectivity, sometimes people don't really get it. They think it's just about giving opportunity for those who are in the rural area to connect, which is extremely important, but it's about strengthening our economy. And what we've seen over the years is that conversation, even your question, is now shifted to broadband penetration, not just mobile penetration. Before, we used to strongly measure mobile penetration. Where we see Nigeria tracking, I think we're at about 173 million people now with access, tracking towards 200 million. But that doesn't imply that they have mobile connectivity. And when you think of not just in the rural, even in the urban area, if I challenge you today to think about the calls and how you interact with people, you probably make more calls on WhatsApp than your actual normal voice call on your service. And the implication of that is that is now putting more pressure on internet consumption, because what you want to consume is internet. It's not just the normal telephone services. And that requires investment in infrastructure. So over the years when we came in, we met a sector that has almost been stagnating in terms of investments into that sector, whilst the appetite for consumption has been growing significantly. So that's why the quality of service has been bad, because these companies were clamoring for increase in tariff. If we don't increase tariff and make significant profit, they can't bring back capital investments into the sector. So some of the things we did even before allowing increase in tariff is to reassure them that their investment is going to be protected, to reassure them that the sector is being managed more judiciously, which is why you saw a significant jump between FDI to the sector in 2023 and 2024. So in 2023, I think in Q1, if my numbers are correct off my heart, I think we had about $22 million in 2023 Q1. By 2024, that went up to almost 200 million. Because of the growth they're saying. But the news I have now is that now that we've been able to find a balance to allow them increase slightly and still allow affordability, we have on record that about $1 billion worth of equipment is being ordered by these companies, and they should start to come into the country by the middle of the year. And we're going to see significant progress. But government is not stopping there, to answer your specific question. Okay. The reason why government is not stopping there is that the MNOs will not also invest in areas where they will not make significant return. And that's what you get in the rural area. So what you're seeing in Nigeria is that it's capping to where commercial capital can help. And that's why the president ordered this, not even myself. You know, he called me and said, we must find ways to connect our rural areas, because this is also linked to what you were talking about earlier in terms of security. The bad actors are able to hide in our rural areas because it's difficult to track them. Even when they make their calls, they have ways of making their calls. And what this administration is now doing is that we are investing, the government is investing in 7,000 towers. 7,000 towers in what we call clusters at the minute, where there's no sort of connectivity at all. We're not even talking about internet. There's about 8% of Nigerians in terms of humans that do not have access. In terms of landmass, I think we have close to almost 40% of our areas that are not connected. So the 7,000 towers, most of these clusters are in the north. That's the reality of it. Most of it are in the north. There are a few clusters in the southwest, that is not connected, but the bulk of the clusters are in the north. So almost 80% of these towers will be going towards filling that gap in the north. The rest will now patch up where we have left. And next week, this is not just, I hope we can invite TVC. We're installing the first sample of those towers in a rural area here in Abuja, where there's about 5,000 people, and we've gathered that there's also insecurity there. But these towers are being done differently, not the way the telcos will do their own. Wherever we put them, we use the same infrastructure to serve internet to the local schools, to the local hospital, to the local government, and that's what you're going to see when we launch the first one next week.
Honorable Minister, we'll still come back to you.